It's a bit of a mixed picture, isn't it? And I think, it's very similar to reporting of intervention effect reviews in the Cochrane Library. There's constant monitoring of those done by the central editorial unit. And there's always a sort of a direction of travel in terms of improving reporting. And it's no different with qualitative evidence synthesis. So what we're doing is providing a range of new tools to help and support this process. And these can be used within Cochrane and outside of Cochrane. Martina mentioned there that there's the eMERGE reporting guidance, which is specifically for meta-ethnography. There's the NTREC reporting guidance for generic qualitative evidence synthesis. So the eMERGE reporting guidance was developed using a full evidence-based approach, but the NTREC reporting guidance wasn't, so there is a gap there. There's the former EPOC review group also produced a template that has been updated over time. And aspects of that are very important and helpful in terms of reporting. But we do need to move towards a more consistent and standard approach. So I'm going to go through some new tools that are available for you and some training resources that you can use and to further improve the reporting of your qualitative evidence synthesis. So next slide, please, Martina. So the first big development that Cochrane is investing in is a new Cochrane RevMan template and guidance for reporting QES. It'll be available in the autumn of 2024. You will see that Cochrane has recently published the first intervention effect review using the new intervention effect RevMan template. We will have a whole suite of resources and guidance up there on the Cochrane website for a qualitative evidence synthesis, which will overview the high-level headings that you've got to use, and it'll draw on existing best practice guidance to give you a really clear overview of what you need to do in terms of reporting in each section. The other big development is that Prisma for QES is in development. It won't be available for another 2.5 years, but when it is formalized, and it'll be developed using a proper evidence-based approach with a systematic review, a Delphi consensus development, we will then update the guidance that will be available with the new Cochrane RevMan template for qualitative evidence synthesis to incorporate all those Prisma for QES principles. Next slide, please. Another big investment for Cochrane and for Campbell is the new Cochrane Campbell Handbook for Qualitative Evidence Synthesis, which is due in early 2025. Many of the chapters are already available on the Cochrane website. So if you can have a look at them, the ones in bold here are already up there. You'll see that chapter 20 is reporting a protocol and review. That's yet to go on the website because we just need to finish that chapter to make sure that it incorporates all the new RevMan reporting requirements in there. But I would actually say that this is going to be the biggest guide for the conduct and reporting of a qualitative evidence synthesis, and I'd highly recommend that you have a look at it. Next slide, please. There are also some really great training resources on qualitative evidence synthesis that are available in Cochrane training. There's a whole suite of webinars here that were fairly recent within the last couple of years that will give you some more information and training on the methods. One of the things that Martina actually identified was that the reporting of the full synthesis using a method such as thematic synthesis or meta-ethnography or framework synthesis was particularly poor. So we want to make sure that you have a really great understanding of the methods of synthesis that you're using so that you can report them appropriately in your findings section. Next slide, please. If you're new to qualitative evidence synthesis, there is an interactive learning module, Module 12, which is an introduction for qualitative evidence synthesis. So I know some of you on the webinar today are new to qualitative evidence synthesis. If you want to start right at the beginning, then access this module. It's amongst a suite of other modules, but this at the moment is the only one on qualitative evidence synthesis, but it's a particularly helpful one for getting started. Next slide, please. Last month, Andrew Booth and I did a whole webinar on applying and reporting grade CERT-Qual and how to avoid common mistakes. That webinar is now available on the Cochrane website, and I'm sure Daria is going to drop the link into the chat. You can see it's the link is on the slide here. We didn't talk specifically about the common pitfalls and mistakes when reporting grade CERT-Qual, but we've recently done an analysis of fidelity of reporting of grade CERT-Qual inside and outside of Cochrane, and there were a lot of things that actually could be further improved in terms of reporting so that there's greater fidelity to the original approach as intended. And CERT-Qual is an approach for assessing confidence in review findings of qualitative evidence. So again, there's another webinar that you can look at to gain some greater insight into grade CERT-Qual reporting. Next slide, please. There are new innovations to support review authors in applying grade CERT-Qual, and one of the things that you can use to help you with reporting grade CERT-Qual is the online tool for applying grade CERT-Qual, which is the interactive summary of qualitative findings, or ISOC tool. This is free to use, and the website link is there so that you can actually use it. And again, this will help you standardize your conduct of reporting when you apply grade CERT-Qual, and that's available for free. Next slide, please. Martina mentioned the big variation in the application and conduct of assessing methodological limitations in qualitative evidence synthesis. So over the last 6 years, there's been development of a new tool specifically to use in Cochrane Qualitative Evidence Synthesis. It's called Camelot. It was published this month in the Cochrane Journal. So you can see that Heather Munther-Cass is the first author, so it's published in Cochrane Evidence Synthesis and Methods. It's detailed in Chapter 7 of the Cochrane Campbell Handbook. Again, we hope that there's quite clear reporting guidance in Chapter 7. So we hope that we'll improve both the standardization of the application of the assessment of methodological limitations and the reporting of it. Next slide, please. There's also a new tool for assessing qualitative data thickness and richness. This again has just been published in the Cochrane Evidence Synthesis and Methods Journal. It says in press there, but it's just been published. Again, there's a new chapter in the Cochrane Handbook that you can find it in Chapter 6. So have a look at this new tool. It's really helpful to know how thick your data, how rich your data is in terms of developing your synthesis and reporting it. And the extent to which you can actually translate and transform your qualitative data beyond descriptive to more interpretive findings will depend on the type of underlying data. So again, in terms of reporting, there are more tools to help you systematize the processes, which will help you report them. Next slide, please. So we're here to help you. The Cochrane Qualitative and Implementation Methods Group is one of the methods groups supporting Cochrane authors. We're a big group of conveners. If you have any queries about reporting, then you can always drop us a line. We've got a presence on the Cochrane website.